What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys the best 15 brawlers to max out right now, currently in this season. So I know what you might be thinking. Well, I've released like a best 15 brawlers video and a tier list video. A lot of people can copy that, but this list I like to put out a lot of brawlers that not necessarily like the best brawlers in the game. I mean, they are going to be pretty much at least B tier and higher for the most part, but a lot of these I'm going to anticipate being strong for a little while, even with the balance changes coming out. If again, I pre-recorded this video, but even when balance changes dropped, I predict a lot of these brawlers to be still strong. So just going to show that there probably won't be balance changes again for like another maybe even month even, because a lot of the team will be away on summer break. So yeah, if again these brawlers survive the balance changes, they'll be very strong. So start off with Serge. So again, I'm looking at Serge's balance changes, and there's even a few more that might creep in. I still think Serge will be one of the best brawlers in the game, if not the best brawler inside of the game, because they still don't fix a lot of his fundamental problems. Because with Serge, he's still just got a broken power shield combination with his hypercharge. I still think his Serve Ice Cold rework was a big reason as to why he's broken. He's just able to ramp up his levels so much easier, and I just think there's just this constant chaining ability, constantly has his super available, constantly can jump over walls, knock back people, deal so much damage. Again, like the biggest problem is definitely his hypercharge. I think the hypercharge, supercharge rate, his damage that he puts out, and he's just beyond busted even with the nerfs. Next up in the best 15 brawlers to max out has to be 8-bit. So again, 8-bit is receiving a few nerfs, and I don't think they're going to be enough, because one of the big problems definitely has to be his hypercharge buffy. Again, his hypercharge rate is getting nerfed, but that's not going to stop his hypercharge buffy being insane. His nerf to his star power buffy probably still isn't enough. Every 5 seconds you get an ammo, that's still fine. And then even if that star power buffy was to become pretty weak, well, you still got plugged in star power buffy, which is very, very good. And then the gadget buffy, yes, the less damage is like okay, but you're still getting a lot of supercharge from the bouncing projectile. You still have the fundamentally broken extra credits ability, being able to shoot 2 pieces of ammo at the same time. So easily 8-bit's going to remain an S+ brawler. Next brawler who I definitely recommend maxing out has to be Kit. So if you guys watched my previous video, you'll know that I think Kit is a very underrated and slept on brawler in this meta, and it's still the case. I still think Kit is one of these brawlers that, I don't know, it just seems to be so strong in the meta for a very long time. So of course you've got some great synergies with Kit in the meta right now, because you have got Damian, you've got Bolt, you've got Mortis, you've got Mina, you've got Kaze, and the list goes on in bounty and knockout, so it's endless. His only real counter to this Kit cheese is Cordelius, and still then you can still beat a Cordelius with the Kit cheese. But then you've got Kit being strong in gem grab in particular, which is making Kit a nuisance. The hypercharge is still very strong, and again, they're not going to be nerfing it in this batch, so at least for another month, Kit is going to be very strong and underrated. Damian is next on the max out list, so shock, another like S+ brawler in the meta, but again, another brawler that people aren't hyping up as much as I'd think. I think a lot of people are focused on these buffy brawlers again, and I think Damian might be getting his bug fix, or whatever it is. Even if he gets his bug fix, I still think he's going to remain an S tier brawler inside of the meta, because it's just the same old with Damian. You get your super, like it takes you a little while to get your first super. As long as your teammates aren't just completely brain dead, that'll be fine. You know, you leave them in a 2v3 for the most part, then you get your first super, and then you just constantly chain and pick the right opponent, and you're still just gonna wreak havoc on the map. You're still going to create so much pressure. So yeah, even if Damian was probably to receive 3 more nerfs, he still probably would be S tier. Next brawler I recommend maxing out has to be Glowy. So I'm going to go early on the Glowy train. And again, another brawler that I put on my underrated list, which I'm recommending you guys max out, because it's quite clear that people don't think that Glowy is strong. Well, why don't you guys just make use of it and play him for yourself? Because I'm not just speaking pure delusions here, because the pros have finally realized how strong Glowy is as well. So again, I've got to apologize to Freddy, because he was the one that put me on the Glowy train a long time ago, and I should have listened, because he is so incredibly powerful. If you're unsure why, you just pair Glowy with any type of aggressive brawler. You're going to be gaining a lot of supercharge through just literally healing. You can then just deal damage to the opponents, and once you get in range, most times you can just get a kill easily with Glowy. You then got his super that can defend yourself really easily, a really broken hypercharge. It's just really hard to kill a Glowy, so his presence on the map is everlasting. It means the next brawler that you must max out inside of this meta, mainly because Lumi just seems to be this really strong brawler still. And if you want Lumi to be one of the best brawlers inside of the game, you just ban Edgar and Mortis, and you're going to make it work most of the time. So the nerf to Lumi probably just did nothing. Lumi on certain maps just feels pretty uncounterable to me. She deals an insane amount of damage. It's just really easy, especially if you're a good Lumi, to just constantly zone the opponents, with thanks to the gadget as well. But even her main attacks can do a great job of that. And if, you know, like some assassins and some tanks get within her range, she's going to melt them, like literally shred through them so quickly. So it's really hard to deal with a good Lumi. Next brawler who I recommend maxing out has to be Finks. So Finks just seems to be minimum B tier in the meta ever since he was first released, so it would be a great free-to-play brawler to max out as well. So it's not this anything crazy type of hard carry brawler, but he's so ultra consistent. Hot zone, literally every single composition, I think it's going to be really good into pretty much. So yeah, you always get value out of him there. Gem grab, he's a great gem carrier because you've got teleport gadget, and then you see him Finks a little bit more in knockout and bounty because his gadget helps counter kit cheese, and then you've seen him in a few other places as well to counter like Karze's, Melodies, and Heist. So pretty much see him in every single game mode aside of Brawl nowadays, making him such a good brawler. Next brawler who I definitely recommend maxing out has to be Lu. So I feel like people haven't tapped into the full potential of Lu just yet. He's just so easy to hit his main attack. Some time ago, he got a big buff to, I think, was it his reload speed or something really big change with Lu like 6 months ago. And then now we have this projectile size buff, which allows him to hit more shots. So of course it's going to be great when a brawler like Lu can hit more shots more frequently. The hardest thing about Lu is hitting the main attack. In pro play, it can be so frustrating trying to hit a good player with Lu, but now that's not really the problem. So you're building up supers more frequently. Super just guarantees zoning. It guarantees literally the zone in hot zone. It just guarantees pressure on the map. It guarantees a kill a lot of the time as well when you pair it with his gadget. His hypercharge guarantees a kill. Great shutdown to a lot of aggressive ideas. Lu is definitely back in the meta. The next brawler who I definitely recommend maxing out has to be Max. So in the first batch of balances, I think that Max isn't getting nerf, but I could be wrong by the time this comes out because I'm trying to advocate for a max nerf, but I still think with any max nerfs, it won't be enough because there's so many broken abilities with Max right now. So fundamentally, phase shifter gadget is just broken, but the thing is they can't. How do they nerf this gadget buffy? Because the gadget buffy is just enabling a second dash. Maybe they can make it so it takes like 2 seconds or maybe like even 1 second to perform the double dash, but even just having a double dash in any state of mind is really, really broken. And then you've got both star power buffers that are really, really strong. You've just got Max having the automatic supercharging trait. So unless they literally nerf her supercharge rate, she's going to be an S+ tier brawler in the meta easily. So yeah, Max does require a bit more team synergy. But again, if you've got most of her buffies, hypercharge buffy as well, or just even hypercharge is basically what you need because her hypercharge super is so strong. She's definitely a brawler to max out for the future. Next brawler who I definitely recommend maxing out right now has to be Bolt. So Bolt is, again, so criminally underrated. I feel like people actually really overrated his CC star power. Yes, it was very strong, but I still had so much success rate even without that star power in the previous meta. So yeah, I know, again, there are a few brawlers, like if you're just playing ladder into a Serge, obviously it's not going to work all that well. It's Serge, he's so broken. But outside of that, especially in ranked, Serge is going to be banned out most times. So then, yeah, Bolt's going to be absolutely insane. His knockback star power is still really good. His CC immunity star power is still pretty good when you time it correctly. But it's still Bolt. He's just able to, he literally is the brawler that creates the most space in the game. He's constantly a threat, and you constantly having to worry about being in his path because once you get, I think it's a super combination. Once you get hit by his super, most of the time you are just going to die. So yeah, Bolt is insane. Next brawler who I definitely recommend maxing out right now has to be Meeple. So Meeple still is the brawler to max out. I think I recommended him probably in the last meta as well. And this meta is still the same story. So he's again one of these brawlers in ranked where I get so frustrated facing off against Meeple because he's such a simple brawler to face off against and such a hard brawler to face off against as well. You would think he has his easy counters. You know, assassins should counter him, especially with the rage quit gadget nerf. No, it just wasn't enough. He's still got 2 very strong gadgets. He still does some great damage, great hypercharge. Super versatile, and like I said, very easy to use. All the noobs are playing Meeple. If you want to get pro in no time, honestly, just go Meeple in every single game, in every situation, because you don't really need any skill to use this brawler, and he's so powerful. So definitely recommend maxing him out because it seems like he's here to stay in the meta again. He's definitely S tier. Next brawler who I definitely recommend maxing out still in this meta has to be Edgar. So Edgar still seems to be that guy in this meta because they nerfed him like 3 times, but you've always got to anticipate an Edgar last pick in your draft or just ban out Edgar if the enemy has a last fix. He's still that frustrating to face off against. It's just he takes probably, I don't know, an extra 10-15 seconds to get his hypercharge in a game, but then once he gets his hypercharge, it's pretty much game over. So yeah, Edgar really stops players from going these control compositions, and it's just the fact that he can chain a lot. Any brawler that has any type of chaining super potential where he's able to combo and get 1, 2, 3 kills, get a team wipe, for me is always going to be a brawler I recommend maxing out, because that's just a difference maker. Next brawler who I definitely recommend maxing out in this meta has to be Pierce. So again, another brawler that's kind of under the radar a little bit because there's so many broken brawlers in the meta, but you can never go wrong with Pierce. Ever since his release, what has he always been? An S tier brawler, minimum A tier, S plus sometimes in previous metas, and that still is going to be the case. So I think Supercell are just reluctant to actually give Pierce heavy nerfs, because he might be one of his brawlers, kind of like Lumi or a few other, I would say, highest skilled brawlers. I mean, Pierce isn't the highest skilled brawler in the game right now currently, but I think if he was to become bad, you'd say, okay, Pierce takes skill, because his whole mechanic is you have to hit shots for it to be a reward, and you get ammo shells. He can be the most painful brawler to play at the same time, because if you're missing a lot of shots, you're not going to get any ammo back, and you're not going to be able to reap the rewards off his 3k shot, and slow. But the reason why Pierce is still going to be really good and recommend maxing him out, his super is still insane, and his hypercharge is very, very strong. And I think until they nerf his hypercharge and until they nerf his last shot slow, he's still going to be an insane brawler. The next brawler who I recommend maxing out right now, probably towards the end of the list with the nerfs incoming, has to be Meg. So I anticipate some harsher nerfs coming with Meg. I still think the couple that they added probably isn't going to be enough, and they're probably going to add a few more. And if they do, I anticipate her being a little bit like towards the bottom of the 15 brawlers, and could maybe slip a little bit lower on, but I still recommend maxing her out because she's still one of these new flashy brawlers that has a buffy, so I think she'll at least last another month inside of the meta. Just be a little bit more reluctant with Meg, but currently right now, as I'm speaking, if she only receives, the 2 nerfs that was set out early on, then she's still going to be a very insane brawler, because she's got a really broken hypercharge. Her hypercharge super changes so quickly, and I just think she's an absolute menace. So yeah, let's see where she kind of lands. The last brawler I recommend maxing out right now. It's hard to not make this list without mentioning Star Nova. So again, I was a little bit hesitant because the balance changes haven't came out just yet. So maybe you could hold the trigger until maybe like one day after this video or 2 when the maintenance should come out. And then if you haven't maxed out Star Nova, max her out if she still seems pretty strong, because that damage nerf could have its limitations, but I still think the playstyle will just change with Star Nova. Like, her main attack is still easy to hit and can still do some decent damage even after the damage nerf, but people just start playing around her super more. You'll just be able to make more explosive plays with her super. So I still think, if someone closes you down and get within your range up close, well, you can just use a super, and you've got really high damage with that super now, thanks to the buff that was a week ago. So yeah, I think Star Nova will still be an insane brawler. I don't know whether Hypercharge comes out. Hopefully it will be soon, because the second that Hypercharge comes out, she'll no matter whether this damage nerf has an impact or not, if, say if it sends her down to the B tier, the Hypercharge will just send her back up probably to the S tier again. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Let me know whether there's any brawlers that I missed out on this list. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.